last time you saw Project Street Sleeper, we took a nice long road trip to Norwalk, Ohio to attend the 2014 shootout. I had a great time as always, and the old Galant performed perfectly over the 1,100-mile trip. The long drive really gave me time to bond with this car and think about how it compares with others I've driven and owned over the years. Here are a few of my quick observations. First off, I love the excellent visibility out of this car. The wide expanse of glass makes maneuvering the car easy and fun. Lane changes are easier, and you can really look into the corners when you're carving up a mountain road. I also love the simplicity of this car. When I drive a newer car, I'm always having to take my eyes off the road to figure out what area on the touchscreen I need to push. This is a simple, pure driving experience that seems to be a thing of the past. I only had 2 complaints over the course of the trip. After a few hours sitting in the seats, I could not get comfortable. The VR4 has a bunch of seat controls, including a lumbar support, but cranking that thing up felt like somebody was driving a pry bar into my back. So for the ride home from Ohio, I grabbed a little cushion at Walmart, which totally solved the problem. The next little nag is the highway cruising RPMs. This thing screams at highway traffic speed, which was 75 to 80 mph most of the way. Even with those higher RPMs, it still returned an average of 28 miles per gallon, which I think is excellent, especially since I haven't even touched the light throttle tune in ECMLink. The trip was tons of fun, and I was amazed at all the folks who said they loved the car and enjoyed watching the videos about it. So thanks for that. So that was a few months ago. What's been going on since? Well, after seeing how much fun my son has with his Transformer toys, I thought it would be cool if I could do the same with Project Street Sleeper. What if I could choose Sleeper mode, or in about an hour or so, swap out some parts and transform the car into non-sleeper mode? Sounds like fun to me. Let's get to work. A while back, I found these BBS wheels for sale on Craigslist. The price was really good and I couldn't pass them up. These wheels were available on Volvo S40s from the late 90s to early 2000s. They're 16x7 with a 44mm backspace, a 67.1mm center bore, and a 4-on-114.3 bolt pattern. In other words, they're a perfect fit for a VR4. But they were dirty. Like, really dirty. Let's clean them up. I started by using some mild degreaser and some brushes for the really caked on stuff. After that, I used some Sonak's Full Effect Wheel Cleaner, which is easy to use and incredibly good at its job. In most cases, you just spray it on, wait a few minutes until it turns red, and then hose it off. I needed to scrub the stubborn areas a little, but it still worked great on these old dingy wheels. After all that, the wheels were cleaner than they were before, but still needed another level of attention before they were ready for the Galant. The first job was to get rid of all that road tar and old wheel weight sticker residue that was hiding inside the wheels. For this I used some plastic razor blades and extreme Goo Gone. That's much better. The final step in restoring these wheels was to revive the painted finish. Brake dust and other filth from over the years had left the paint stained and dull. To fix this, I used a Mother's Power Cone polishing tool and the same stuff that I used on the Galant to bring out its shine, Meguiar's Ultimate Compound. The Power Cone was the best tool in the world for this job. Check out how it was able to get in between all of the spokes so easily. After using this awesome tool, I can't even imagine doing this job by hand. The Power Cone coupled with the Ultimate Compound Wax made for a powerful duo, and after a couple hours of work made the wheels look like new again. In fact, the Power Cone and Meguiar's combo did so well, it gave me a great idea. I can't wait to tell my dentist about this. Now that we have a shiny set of wheels, let's get some tires. I did a bunch of research and chose the Dunlop Dureza DZ101 in the 215/50R16 size. One interesting thing about these tires is that the exact size and model was offered with the choice of being made in either Japan or Thailand. I chose Japan because because JDM? Well, they were a tad bit lighter according to the specs, so they've got that going for them. So after chucking the now clean wheels and new tires in the van, I got them all mounted up at a local tire shop. So while these wheels will give us better handling and a different look, there is a little weight penalty involved. The stock 15-inch wheel and tire combo weighs in at 34 pounds, while the BBS and Dureza combo comes in at a chunkier 38 pounds. More unsprung weight is never ideal, but I can live with it given the benefits, especially since I won't be running these all the time. The next ingredient in our transformation is to add a little more rumble to the exhaust. Now it's true we can do that anytime with the flip of a switch, but I wanted something in between completely silent and wide open downpipe sound. Just a little more presence at idle and a sportier sound while cruising would be perfect. To accomplish this, I did lots of measuring and noodling, and then finally chose a 3-inch high-flowing MagnaFlow muffler and a couple of mandrel exhaust bends from Summit Racing. With the stock rear section removed, I looked everything over to get an idea on how and where to place our new parts. I started by placing the muffler where I wanted it to sit and worked from there. After a couple hours of test fitting and cutting exhaust bends to fit, I welded on a V-band so I could easily switch from this setup back to our stock muffler quickly and easily. Next, I sized up the exhaust hangers and bent them and welded them in place. With the fit right, I brought the setup into my paint booth for some Duplicolor low gloss black. With the setup installed once again, there's just one final step, and that's to add an exhaust tip. Now I thought long and hard about this, as the options are practically limitless. I mean, you got your long tips, your short tips, your dual tips, your Hello Kitty tips, your church organ tips, your Chevy bow tie tips. Dude, this was a tough decision. So after mocking up a couple options, my favorite was this stainless steel 3.5-inch angle tip rolled edge version. It's made by Summit Racing and was exactly the right size and look that I was going for. This is a weld-on tip, so it was necessary to really take my time in order to get the position exactly how I wanted it. Once I was happy with that, I tacked it in place and then finished it up over on the table. So here's how it all turned out. And here's a shot next to our other setup, which uses the stock Galant VR-4 muffler. The final ingredient in the Galant's transformation into non-sleeper mode was this high-flow intake. I didn't capture any footage of this in the making, but it was pretty straightforward. I used a 3-inch steel U-bend, a small piece of pipe for the blow-off valve return, some couplings to connect the pipe to the turbo inlet and the EVO mass airflow sensor, and this AEM EVO 8 filter and filter adapter, which I picked up barely used from the forums. Okay, we've got the exhaust installed and the new intake in place. Let's get our wheel and tire combo bolted up too. Alright, now let's go for a ride and see how it all turned out. You know, we only made 3 changes, but these 3 changes made a huge difference in the personality of this car. On the outside, the wheels make a nice impact, but in an understated way. To my eyes, they look almost like a factory option, which is what I was hoping for. The exhaust chimes in with just the right amount of rumble, and the tip adds a little shine at the bumper for a custom but understated look. While the intake won't see the light of day too often, it adds a clean custom look to the engine bay. These modifications definitely added a whole new dimension to owning this car, as I can now choose if I want to cruise around in completely stock appearing fashion, or turn up the knob a little bit. Driving it in non-sleeper mode is a blast. The exhaust is engaging and sporty without being noisy. The intake adds a little turbo whistle and a noticeably sharper throttle response. But the biggest difference came with the wheels and tires. I didn't expect too much here, but the car corners much flatter and more predictably than before. Ride quality feels the same to me, but my confidence in corners has increased dramatically over the stock size setup. I'm real happy with how this all turned out. It just goes to show you how you can add a lot of personality to a car with just a few calculated modifications. I'd like to thank you for watching and subscribing, and we'll see you again next time.